Leonardo da Vinci's physical remains vanished centuries ago. For a long time, that seemed to be the end of his biological story. But right now, scientists are attempting to pull his genetic code back from the void. Since 2016, an international team of researchers has been working on the Leonardo DNA project. Their objective is to reconstruct da Vinci's exact genetic profile from scratch. To pull this off, historians spent 3 decades mapping out an unbroken family tree. By digging through archives and property records, they traced the da Vinci lineage all the way back to the year 1331, covering 21 full generations and more than 400 individuals. Recovering this biological source code allows us to look at his intellect in a completely different way. We can start moving away from historical guesswork and instead examine the actual biology behind his mind. The search began by following the paper trail from ancient donation records to modern properties scattered around Leonardo's hometown, the Tuscan village of Vinci. This exhaustive mapping led to a massive breakthrough. Researchers found 15 living men directly linked through the paternal line to Leonardo's father and his half-brother. This graphic traces the Y chromosome, a genetic marker passed from father to son, intact. Testing the DNA of modern descendants yielded a definitive match across the board, confirming an unbroken male lineage of 15 generations. Science now holds da Vinci's original genetic code, but finding living relatives is only half the equation. Now that researchers have this modern baseline, they have exactly what they need to test it against ancient bones. That brings the search to the Church of Santa Croce in Vinci. Right now, archaeological excavations are actively underway to open a forgotten da Vinci family tomb. Historical documents point to this specific site as the burial ground for several close relatives, including Leonardo's grandfather, his uncle, and multiple half-brothers. Teams at the site have already recovered bone fragments from the earth. Some of these have been radiocarbon dated, confirming they match the exact era when Leonardo's family lived. The next hurdle is extracting and sequencing what scientists call paleogenomic data. This means pulling viable ancient DNA out of bone that has been degrading in the dirt for half a millennium. If the extraction yields enough intact genetic material, experts will sequence the ancient Y chromosome and place it side by side with the data taken from the living descendants. A verified match between the bones and the modern bloodline would solidify the entire lineage. It provides the authenticated genetic signature needed to positively identify Leonardo's own biological traces. That validated genetic profile moves the search from the cemetery to the laboratory of the art historian. The ultimate objective is to isolate Leonardo's personal DNA from the art itself. A tiny fingerprint left on a page could hold enough skin cells to sequence. The family genome will verify if those trapped cells actually belong to him. This could resolve major historical debates right now. Recently, an unusual charcoal drawing of a hybrid creature, nicknamed the unicorn dragon, was discovered on a fireplace mantel in an old building in Vinci. Scholars are debating whether this is an early, undiscovered work by Leonardo. With a sequenced genome, art historians wouldn't have to rely entirely on brushstroke analysis. We could test the paper for trace DNA and prove its origin scientifically. Beyond authentication, mapping his DNA opens up a window into his physical biology. Researchers are looking to decode the genetic markers responsible for his extreme visual acuity, his famous left-handedness, and any underlying health conditions that might explain how he died. Reconstructing this genetic profile turns a historical shadow back into a biological reality. We are finally hearing the genetic voice of a man whose story is still revealing itself 5 centuries later.